I remember us wondering why punters were drafted ahead of him. I think it's a logical line to draw that two teams that drafted punters ahead of him knew.
Well, Bean and Sean McDermott said we spoke to basically double-digit number of teams, and none of the teams we spoke to knew anything about it, is what they said about it. And they admitted we had no idea when we drafted him. That could have changed things. But saying that the teams they spoke to had no idea about this accusation.
By the way, it was Barkley who punted for the Bills. He punted four times.
He punted well. The one I saw, he punted well. Jordan Stout was selected in the 4th round by the Ravens, and Jake Camarda was taken by the Bucks 3 picks later. So the Bucks and the Ravens picking 2 other guys in the 4th round, 130 and 133. I would conclude that they knew when they passed over a guy who was one of the best. Didn't he set NCAA records with what he did?
Well, he's the award winner. He was the best punter in the country, according to college football.
I mean, that's not everything you look at, but
so
I remember expressing surprise at the time.
Well, here's the date where I got the late July date. The accuser's attorney, Dan Gillian, shared with The Athletic, this is a story from The Athletic, that an email showing that he reached out to Bill's assistant general counsel, Catherine D'Angelo, on July 31st. Gillian said the next day he had a long phone conversation with D'Angelo of the Bills, but had no further contact with the club about the case. Says it sounded like he expected her to return a call. Her understanding was she heard what he had to say, and that's when we began our process. The attorney saying, we talked for a while. I was expecting the Bills to call back for further info. They didn't. The Bills took that conversation and decided to, I guess, hold out hope that the story wouldn't go public, and figured that they knew what they knew from that conversation and talking to Araiza.
I'm a big believer in Occam's razor. The easiest explanation, the most logical explanation is usually the explanation. And the most logical explanation here is if it didn't come public, they would have been okay with keeping him.
Well,
because all that changed was it became public, and they looked terrible.
But that's where it looks even worse. They had a month. They knew about this for a month, so you had a month to prepare your statement.
And they cut their alternative.
How you're going to handle this.
They cut their alternative 5 days before.
And then they cut him after releasing that statement. The plan could have been all along, well, if it gets out, we'll just cut the guy. Right? I mean, we'll hold. He's a really good punter, so we'll hold tight. And when it goes public, then we'll probably cut him or just be quiet about it. But that was their prepared statement after hearing about this a month before. It was that terrible.
They do not.
And then they had to cut him. To me, it's just more about
CYA
mishandling by the organization in this whole thing. And I'm sure that Araiza told the team his side of the story that conflicts with hers, and they believed him. They found him to be very believable. They're not saying that now, but Sean McDermott and Bean are both saying, yeah, we had plenty of conversations with him about it, and they're, without saying it, what they want. They don't want us to know this, but they believed Araiza.
And part of his
defense
is he doesn't know she's underage. Well, this is a very dangerous area. You are obligated to know her age. If you're a 21-year-old guy and you're engaging in sexual relations with somebody that's 17,
they're saying that did not happen with Araiza. They spoke at the party, is what his attorney says.
Is what he's saying.
Yes, read what the attorney said. He's saying that they spoke at the party and had no idea how old she was at the party.
Well, they also,
not that they had sex with her and they didn't know she was 17.
So the police investigation, the police have turned over the information in the investigation to the DA. DA has yet to press charges as of now. But as part of the police investigation, they listened in while she called Araiza the next day.
Who told her to check for STD.
I pointed this out.
Yeah.
I pointed this out last Friday. They wiretapped and were feeding her questions, and he was onto it because after the second question that was asked to him, he abruptly said, "This is Matt Araiza, and I don't remember anything from that night," and hung up the phone call. So, yeah, he was on to that. By the way, this took place in October of 2021. And here it is, August of 2022, and you're just now hearing about it.
Well, here's, look, it's
in the middle of football season last year.
It's San Diego State, okay? This is not an SEC program. But how does not one reporter that covers the Aztecs get that story?